Welcome to the Urban Music Enthusiast Podcast, the space where urban culture, music, film, and storytelling collide. I'm your host, B. Sims, and every episode I shine a spotlight on the voices shaping our communities, artists, actors, writers, and influencers who are making a real impact both locally and nationwide. If you love urban music, film, and TV as much as I do, you're in the right place. Be sure to subscribe, share, and join the ongoing conversation about the culture. Let's get into it. That's all good. No, I appreciate it. We can go ahead and get started, okay? Thank you for your patience and good afternoon again. Despite the technical difficulties, I'm really looking forward to this interview.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons too, mainly because this is my first time interviewing an artist from home.
Oh, that's what's up.
I know, so that's, like, so special. I've been in the DMV for so long, but I'm like, "You know what? I need to reach back and reach out to people from where I'm from because
Yeah.
I try to amplify these artists," and I'm like, "But I'm actually not a DMV native. I'm a St. Louis native," so
Yeah, that's what's up.
I know. So I'm like, "I gotta reach back to my people," but then also with you being Black and queer, it's like this feels like a
Yeah.
full circle. 314
Yeah.
day is right around the corner, so I'm like, "This is perfect."
Right.
Perfect, and before we get started, what's your preferred name and your preferred gender pronouns?
My preferred name is KV, so you don't have to say the whole KV the writer,
Love
and
it.
my pronouns are she, her.
I love it. So let's get going, okay? So
Yeah.
the first thing, obviously, you are a St. Louis native. So
Mhm.
how would you say it felt growing up in St. Louis, Missouri, and how has it shaped your identity as a woman and as an artist?
That is a great question. Actually, I was just answering a question about like if you had to give someone a heads up about St. Louis, what
Mm.
would you tell them?
Oh,
And I told the story about like I have a friend from the Virgin Islands and she moved to St. Louis and I picked her up from the airport. But on the way to the airport, I learned I had to bail my brother out of jail. He called me like, yo, I'm locked up. Can you come get me?
mhm.
So I picked her up and then I'm like, "Hey, we gotta go bail my brother out." So I brought her with me. She has her luggage in my car. This is her first time ever in St. Louis. And we go to the city justice center to bail my brother out. And on the way there, people are running red lights
Of
and
course.
like people are like running across the street without like paying attention. And she was just like, "Where am I? Like this place is gutter." And I think that really shapes all of us here. Like
It does.
St. Louis is like, man, if you can make it here, you can
You
make it
make
anywhere.
make it
And I feel like it's made me resilient. It's made me like street savvy. It made me like learn how to finesse. And it's really shaped me as a person where I can go anywhere and be good. Like what Jay-Z say, I'm good on any MLK Boulevard. It really feel like that.
that is very you know what's so funny? I couldn't expect how you were gonna answer that question, but being a St. Louis native as well, I'm like, that is you hit the nail on the head, and I people like, my upbringing prepared me for everything
Yeah.
tomorrow.
Anything.
And it is whenever I link up and meet other St. Louis natives who gone elsewhere and to do other things, we always talk
Hmm.
about the hustle of the city and how
Yes.
is the reason that we have made it to X, Y, and Z point, whether we go
Hmm.
back or, whatever. So I think you answered that question perfectly, and hopefully that gives people a very good picture of what St. Louis is about.
I
And
hope it doesn't taint anybody's perspective of St. Louis. Like, it's not all bad.
no, it's not.
Like, it's just, we just know how to make it.
We know how to make it, and we definitely know how to maintain. So, when did you
Mhm.
realize that, this was your art was more than a hobby, but it was a part of your identity? Like, at what point did that stand out to you?
So I came into making music kind of in a roundabout way.
Mhm.
I lost my brother to gun violence
Mm,
and I always have been an artist. But after he passed, I was just kind of on some like YOLO stuff. Like
mhm,
I've always liked making music. So I just started making songs as a way to process my grief and
mhm,
cope with his loss. Cause
mhm,
we lost our dad to gun violence like years prior to that.
mm.
And so I was just like experiencing all this loss, and I'm like, I just need a way to like expel this from my body.
Mhm.
And so I just got good. Like I literally was making songs every day just to like,
Yep.
cope with grief. But after doing it for 2 years straight with folks not really knowing,
Mhm,
I became a really good songwriter. And so I like put a song out and I realized like people were really messing with it. I was
mhm.
like, I got something with this. And so I kind of took off from that, but it all started from just like survival.
So, it was kind of like a form of escapism and healing for you.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. I love to hear that, and that kind of I'm gonna touch on that a little bit more because 'cause I'm gonna get into that trauma center work you do, so I'm glad
Mhm.
you mentioned that. Growing up in St. Louis, what were some of your favorite artists that you listened to, and who, if any of those same artists, inspire you the most today?
Okay. So when I was younger, I loved Jaquan. Like hood hop was my stuff.
That
Like
was
I don't know if I can curse on here. I curse a lot,
yes,
but
yes,
I'm like
that's a
put out.
classic.
I can't. Okay.
Yes, that was
Hood hop was my
that's
shit.
a classic. It's a classic.
But Jay and Ebony Eyes. So like
Mm,
around that time, I was like, okay, I like I said, I used to love making songs, but I never saw it for me because I'm like, I'm a girl.
yeah,
Like I don't really see representations
of
of a lot of
course.
female artists in like the early 2000s and
Mhm.
stuff. We did it in the 90s, but like by early 2000s,
I
it
don't.
was just like like what's around in St. Louis? Like we had like Nicki Minaj,
Yeah,
and then it was like no one else.
going for a very long
Um,
time. Yeah,
so yeah, seeing Ebony Eyes, I was like, okay, women are making music.
yeah,
And this was around the era when Nelly was popping, Chingy was popping, Jaquan was popping, like St. Louis artists were just like popping off like stars.
yeah.
So I wouldn't say they necessarily like influence my music now, but in St. Louis, we that's where I learned like I had an accent.
Mhm.
Like from listening to the music and like going I went to Hampton in the DMV. So like I learned at Hampton
Mm.
that I had an accent. I didn't know that prior to going to school.
I didn't know
Um
you went to Hampton. What did you study?
I didn't graduate from Hampton, but I went
You
there.
went there. You went there.
Yeah.
And you know what else is funny? When you said, "I didn't know I had an accent," I'm listening, and you probably don't notice this obviously, because you still are in St. Louis, but when I talk to people from my hometown, I'm reminded that my accent is gone because yours is very thick. Like,
It's pronounced.
there are certain words, but it's heartwarming to me because it's like I never hear it. I never
Mhm.
hear it. So it's like I'm like hearing you say certain words, it's like, wow, that's actually
Yeah.
um in regards to like your creative process and your sound, how intentional are
Mhm.
you about your
Mhm.
storytelling in your music?
Mhm.
And is there a
Mhm.
message you want listeners to walk away with?
Mm, that's a good question. I really feel like I just make whatever music I feel like at the moment.
Mhm,
So sometimes I want to tell a story. Sometimes I'm telling other people's stories.
mhm.
And sometimes I'm just trying to talk shit. Like I just want to, get something off.
Yeah,
I'm really just inspired by like whatever is going on in my life
mhm.
at the time.
That's
Um, what's going on in the world. Yeah, how I'm feeling at the moment.
I like that. So then how would you say, because listening to your music, I love how you balance vulnerability and confidence. Like, and that's a delicate balance. But how do you balance that in your lyrics and just in your whole creative process?
Mm. I think I just have been okay with being vulnerable.
Okay.
Um, and I've been comfortable with my vulnerability. A lot of people aren't comfortable with being vulnerable, and it makes sense because like it's not a safe world. But because like a lot of my trauma was public, so like people knew about my loss because of the news or because like my older brother that passed, he was a big like a person in the art community.
Oh,
So I couldn't hide
that's
what happened to me.
mhm.
And writing was like my way to process that.
Hmm.
And now that I'm a little older, now I'm like now I can be more, more secretive. I don't have to be as vulnerable. Like
Mhm.
I can share what I want the world to know.
That is very true. That is very true. I like that. And then, so kind of back to what you mentioned, your trauma centered work, and I kind of went through your page. So
Mhm.
I love I love the advocacy work you do, but I specifically love the trauma center work, especially as you
Mhm.
keep mentioning the losses you've had. So what drew you to that type of work specifically? Is it just kind of the background
Mm.
losses you've had, or was there something else on top of that?
You know what? It really felt like my steps were just ordered. Like
Mm,
I was just led to do this work and
mhm.
it landed where I was supposed to be.
Yeah.
I used to be a teacher, so after I graduated college, I became a elementary school teacher,
Mhm.
and then that led me to working at like after school program like Herbert Hoover, and then
Shout out Herbert Hoover, shout out Matthew
I
Dickey.
know shout out to Herbert Hoover.
Were you a Herbert Hoover or were you Matthew Dickies, or did you do both?
I worked at Herbert Hoover,
Okay.
so I didn't do it either. I wasn't like I remember I went to one day, I was like, "Please don't bring me back here," to my parents. I was like, "I don't wanna go back here."
Herbert Hoover more strict than Matthew Dickey's from what I remember.
Ye yeah.
Yeah, but I literally was in both of them, so I'm just like even just you mentioning that, I'm like, that's not stuff people know about, but yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, that is a huge
Yeah.
upbringing for sure.
Yeah. But, like, I worked at those places and I always been, like, community centered,
Mhm,
but then, I worked at this, org called Freedom Community Center,
mhm,
and I saw this position online. It was for a director of programs doing restorative justice work,
mhm,
which essentially was getting people out of jail and walking them through accountability so the harmed party or the victims in their case can get justice outside of the carceral system.
mhm.
So, like, abolishing prisons, basically,
Yeah,
abolishing jails and making community members in charge of what justice looks like.
of
And
course.
so I came across this position after I lost my brother.
Mm,
And I was kind of like having this tension like, should I take this job? Should I not take this job? Because my best friend was like, one day you might be in front of the person that took
eh,
your brother's life.
yeah,
Like, are you ready for that? And I was just like, I guess so. Like, I guess I gotta heal.
mhm,
And that's why I say I feel like my steps were ordered because that work was incredible work. I got a lot of people out of jail and I helped a lot of people heal.
hmm.
And we also had a side of the program that was specifically for the harm party, so the victims. And
Oh,
but
wow.
I worked with the responsible parties for
Uh-huh,
the people that actually were accused of doing harm. And
hmm,
that led me to doing the trauma informed work later at a different job where I was teaching people about the impacts of trauma.
mhm,
And I learned that firsthand by working with folks that were accused of doing harm that a lot of us that have done like, harmful things
mhm.
have been harmed ourselves.
That's
Like a lot of people are victims of harm themselves. And
mm,
so it's a cycle of trauma.
it
Like
is.
you get hurt, you hurt other people. They get hurt, so they hurt other people and it's over and over again.
Mhm.
So I came into this work to kind of figure out like how can we stop that? Like
What did you say the name of that organization was again?
Freedom Community Center.
Freedom Community
Yeah,
Center.
they doing some good work.
Oh, wow. Didn't expect that answer either, but the fact that you're invested and committed to that type of work is so beautiful, especially being an urban artist because, a as you know, we have so many rappers and lyricists that
Yeah,
don't give back to the community
yeah,
at all, and you're doing so in such
yeah,
a major way, so I'm like, I pray you never lose, like, the fight and desire to do that because that's
yeah,
really necessary work, you know?
yeah. Thank
Especially
you. I
from a
don't think I can. I
yeah.
don't think I can because I was inspired to make music by my own personal experience. So
Mhm.
I would have to literally like lose a piece of myself to
That's true.
stop
Okay.
doing the work that I'm doing.
I like that. Definitely that's definitely a higher calling then. How do you
Yes.
feel you balance because I see you are doing a lot of community work and I can hear that. How do you balance being an
Mhm.
artist and being an active voice in these local advocacy spaces?
I play the video game a lot, so I love playing the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
My girlfriend bought me a Nintendo Switch 2 for Christmas, and I don't think she knew that I was a gamer as much as I am.
Yeah.
Cause when she bought it, I was like, "Girl, you don't know what you just
Yeah.
did."
She got a big problem.
Yes. So I play the game, like, I love reading books too.
Yeah.
So I have, like, a mini library in my house. I read a lot. I go outside.
Yeah.
I like
So
to go
so
play outside.
balance
Yeah.
the
I do
weight
a lot of self-care stuff.
that's good. Who taught you the importance of self-care and how to implement that? Because sometimes people don't
Mm,
really master that until later years. So how did you
yeah.
master that already?
Honestly, I have to say my dad. Like,
Okay.
so I was raised by my parents got divorced when I was little, and I lived with my dad. He was a
Okay.
single father, and I used to see him take naps in the middle of the day. He worked hard. Like he would work until like 3 in the morning,
Mhm.
but he would go get his nails done, and he would go take a nap, and he would take bubble baths, and he would go on vacations,
That's
and
fine.
so it was normalized.
Yeah,
Like I didn't get in trouble for taking naps in the middle of the day in the house, and that's rare in a black
that's good
household.
household. Your mama be like, "Do something, do a chore, do something,
Right. Why you sleep?
sleep." That is a common black mom thing. That's dope, but I'm glad you had such a present dad like that, because that
Yeah.
definitely makes a big difference. So, then from your perspective, what does healing look like for young people navigating these systemic challenges?
Mm. Child, that is a layered
I
question.
know.
'Cause healing looks different for
It
every person,
does.
right? 'Cause
It does.
we're all born with a different level of
Yep.
resiliency, and so we need different things. It's just like equity, like, everybody
Mhm.
doesn't need the same thing.
Mhm.
But I think healing looks like giving yourself
Mm,
the things that you need,
mm,
and also on the other side of that, we know there's a system that was created
mhm,
that causes harm, that causes like,
mm.
causes trauma. And so healing is not just a personal job.
That's
It's
true.
not just the individual's job.
That's
Healing also looks like systems change.
mhm.
So like we're never going to be holistically well
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
systems change and individuals change. We need both at the same time.
Yeah. You're not wrong about that. We gotta and on that note, we with everything we are dealing with, we have a long we have a long way to go.
Yeah, we
It's
do.
okay. We in for a fight. We in for a fight. So, do you
Yeah.
see your creative process and your creative outlet as a form of healing for yourself and your listeners? Okay,
I think so.
good.
I really do. I know it helps me. Like I always if
Mhm,
it's just like, they say like exercise that makes you feel better.
mhm,
And it's true. And for me, I'm like, music does that for me.
mhm, and
And then I've had people come up to me and tell me that my music helped them process like loss and grief and like I've had people cry at my concerts and I'm like, okay, like something's here.
I was literally gonna ask my next question, have you received that feedback, and, like, how does that feel? Does that make you wanna push harder,
Yeah.
go harder in the studio, create more?
Yeah. Well, I just take it for what it is. I'm like, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah.
But, I feel like I can't put, like, I don't know, my drive
Mhm.
into people's perception of me
That's true.
or, like, feedback
Mhm.
because then I'll be chasing that all the time.
Yeah, and then if you
Like,
don't have
whether
it, then you're
yeah, I need that internal drive,
yeah.
yeah. So I take it, and then I just let it go.
You hold space for it, but you don't let it dictate or determine what
Yes.
your next move
Yep.
is. Okay. I respect that's very
Yes.
mature of you. That again, a lot of
Oh,
people
no, it took time. It
yeah,
took time.
that takes time to get that. You're very self-driven and rooted, so that's, like, super dope for you. In regards to your identity, right? As a queer Black woman from the Midwest, how has that
Mhm.
identity shaped the way you navigate the music industry?
Ooh, yeah, I feel like so I'm privileged in a lot of ways where I just I have a lot of ties in the community. My
Mhm.
grandmother was a big activist in St. Louis, so I knew a lot of people. People know
Oh,
me, so
wow. Okay.
I'm able to. I had doors open to me, and I have experienced barriers because I'm a woman, because I'm queer.
Yeah.
I haven't had the same opportunities and people assume like you know everybody like
Mhm.
it's easy for you. I'm like, no, it's not. I am a black queer plus
Yeah.
size woman in this world living in St. Louis in
Living in
Missouri.
St. Louis, Missouri.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm like, it's not as easy as you think it is. But I built my own community, and
Mhm.
so
And we have to do that. I mean, the funny
yeah.
thing is, and like backstory, I found you because I reached out to my cousin who's still in St. Louis, and I'm like, "Yo, I need to really connect with more St. Louis artists," and she sent your information. I'm so grateful for that. But I love the way you navigate space and carry yourself because whenever my wife and I go home, I'm always like, I still notice when I see gay couples out in public. And it just
Yeah.
takes me back because I left St. Louis when I was 17 and came back.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wasn't out at home. I didn't come out until
Hmm.
college. So even just
Hmm.
seeing little things or going to the Grove or seeing clubs and stuff like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
wow, like a lot has changed. But it's like I remember
Yeah.
how fearful I was as a little
Uh-huh.
girl, you know what I mean, growing up in the inner city. So then when I see and am introduced to artists like you and I look at your platform and I'm like, I love the way you're standing in your light. Like,
Yeah.
I hate that
Thank
I
you.
didn't have, the opportunity or I guess the confidence to do that at that time, but when
Mhm.
I see it, I'm just like, "Okay, progress is" to some extent, there is some progress.
It's happening.
It
It took me some time. I didn't come out till I was older.
yeah,
But once I did, it was just like, who gonna stop me?
yeah, now it's done. Once you out, it's like, "No, it's done."
Yeah.
Go time now. It's for sure go
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
would you say visibility is very important for you then for, like, young queer Black girls that may be watching your journey?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's important in it. I try to make sure that I'm standing in my values
Mhm,
too. Like I don't take opportunities
mhm,
from folks that maybe harm people or hurt people or like homophobic or racist. It's hard in St. Louis. Like
I know. I know.
everybody is racist. Like everybody is homophobic.
That's true. That is very true. But you are standing in your light and you are doing very good work. So, do you feel like then in that regard that the music industry specifically still has evolved, or do you feel like there's still a lot of work to be done for queer black female artists?
Yeah, I think it's both in. It
Yeah.
has evolved a lot.
Yeah.
Like, man, I remember like being younger and watching like the Brat and being like,
Yeah.
come on, I don't know, and this was before I was like even comfortable saying anything,
Mhm.
but I'm just like, we had representations of tomboys,
Yes.
right? But now like we have artists that are out
That are
and
out
like
and proud.
out and like and
Mhm.
they talk about it in their music. That's a difference. Like the
Mm.
Brat never talked about women in her
Listen,
music,
listen,
but
me and
like
I talk
now,
about this. Now people are
yeah,
talking about it and they're affirming
yes,
this and the lifestyle and everything.
uh-huh,
That
hmm,
makes I mean, that carries a lot of weight, like, sometimes and it's funny you touched on that because we talk about this all the time, and I'm like, the people I looked up to never actually confirmed or affirmed that they were or weren't.
yeah,
I just
yeah,
was
yeah,
looking at the aesthetic. Listen,
uh-huh,
and I was holding close to that just because we look similar, like, I was holding close to
right,
Missy Elliott because she dressed like this
uh-huh,
and I wearing the same tracksuits, you know what I mean? But now
yeah,
we can actually like, we have people that are vocal. So,
mhm,
it's yeah, the evolution it's beautiful, and now it includes you
yeah,
too from the Midwest, so it's like,
yeah,
we don't have a lot of people from the South and the Midwest that like
that's real, yeah,
no, it's real. So,
yeah,
thinking about kind of impact, do you feel like what does it mean for you, to be impactful kind of in your
mm,
artistry and to take up space unapologetically?
mm. I feel like it means for me to just like be my authentic self, like in all the spaces at all times.
Mhm,
Like I can't
mhm.
I can't like not be gay when I go out, you know? I can't not be a
Yeah,
nerd. Like I
yeah,
have to
yeah,
be all of me, no
mhm,
matter if I'm on a lineup with just
mm,
like a bunch of street rappers or like if I'm, in this
mm,
other space that is like I don't know, religious or something, like, people have to know who I am, and
yeah.
if you don't, like if you do, then you invited me for a reason. Like, you wanted me to show
That is
up.
true. That is true. Okay. So getting into a little bit about St. Louis through music, because a lot of people may not be aware. For someone, if someone has never been to St. Louis, right? What music
Mhm.
events or spaces would you recommend them to attend to get a taste of what the city has to offer?
Oh, we got a lot of stuff going on. So, like, we have huge festivals, now in St. Louis. There's Music at the Intersection, that I
Mm-hmm.
think it's happening in July now.
Mm,
STL Fest, Frizz
mm-hmm.
Fest. Evolution
Mm,
Fest. There's so many different festivals going on. Um, and it's like all different genres of music too. So like there's hip hop
mm-hmm.
festivals, jazz festivals,
Mm,
like electronic festivals, it's whatever you have a taste for. And then for like the
mm,
party music scene, there's Let's Fucking Dance is like a party where like you literally have to dance, where they're playing like house music, R&B and rap, and you have to, move your
yeah,
body. There's Second
of
Sunday,
course.
to like once again go listen to some cool DJs and have
Mm-hmm.
fun. And I like to plug myself. I throw an event called Strawberry Bounce, and it's a sapphic centered
I saw that.
party for
I like
black queer, yeah. And so I always have
that. I
black
like.
queer DJs, and it's a space for us.
Mm,
It's a sapphic space. So if you want to get into
mm,
the like
okay.
the club scene and just hear what
Yeah,
like we're listening to, you got to go to those events.
I like that. What made you start that specific Sapphic space?
I was looking for community. Like like I said,
Mm-hmm.
like I came out when I was like 27 or something. So I was older,
Uh-huh.
and then
Yeah.
at that time the Grove is no longer really a neighborhood, like I went to
Mm,
Attitudes when I was 18 with my cousin. She came out
yeah.
early and she probably knew. So she's like, "Hey, can you come with me to this club?" So I went with her, and like, but St. Louis doesn't have like spaces for black queer people.
Mhm.
Like
That's
especially
true.
for Black lesbians or, you know, just
Mhm.
sapphic centered people. So I'm like, all right, I just want to find people to hang out with. So I threw the first one and it
Yeah.
had maybe like 60 something people, 70 something people. And then the year after
Mm.
that I did it
That's a lot.
quarterly. Now
Mhm.
it's at 300 plus. So like we done grew
Mhm.
in like a short period of time.
That's super dope. Hopefully one time Imma have to get the information from you. I follow you now, so
Yeah.
I'm kinda keeping up with it, but I definitely would love to attend one of those events next
You
time I come
should.
home.
It's a good
I might
ass
have to
time.
schedule Yeah, I might have to
Yeah.
schedule a flight so we can what does this next chapter of music look like for you? What can supporters and fans and people just listening expect from you?
Yeah, I'm working on a project. So I haven't released a project in a few years, and I think it's time. So I'm working on an EP, and people
Mhm.
could be on the lookout for that just to see. Like I call
Mhm.
myself like a genre bending artist. I like to play with a lot of different genres in the production
Mm.
and in my like style of rap.
Mhm.
So yeah, people could look for that.
Okay. Okay. Are there any producers or kind of collaborative hometown artists that you've kinda worked with that you
Yeah.
enjoyed and you're gonna continue to
Mhm.
build relationships with?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, my early projects were made with Blair the Machine. He goes by Machine now. He actually moved to Atlanta, but he's from St. Louis. We went to college together,
Okay.
and so we made like all of my early music together. And now I'm working with this artist, So
Mhm.
Chill. He's a great producer, keys player. And then I have a
So good.
band. I have an all queer band. So, my band is
That's
nothing
dope
but
as hell.
women and non-binary folks. Yeah,
Mhm. That's dope as
it's
hell.
cool.
You are
Yeah.
very you have a lot of, like, hidden gems is what I'll say. Like, the more you talk and, "Wow, can you do that?" and, "Wow, you started that," it's like you are really taking the reins of your creativity, spreading it all out.
Thank you. Thank
Outside of
you.
music, what would you say is, you're welcome. Outside of music, what would you say keeps you grounded?
Outside of music, my family keeps me grounded. My
Mhm,
girlfriend,
mhm.
she is my
Yeah.
mirror. And I heard that like true love will show you yourself. And so I feel like she has
Yes.
shown me myself. We've been together for
Mhm,
almost a year now. So I feel like she's like my partner is the person that's really helping me like
mhm.
stay motivated and grounded in
Yeah.
who I am.
I expected you to say that. That's something we say. We
I
say, that is definitely something we would say. What do you think then is something maybe that people would misunderstand about you?
Mm, I think people probably misunderstand. They probably think I like purposely forget them. I am very
Mm,
self-conscious about my memory. I have a very bad memory. So, trauma and COVID
okay.
has messed up my ability to
Mhm.
remember people's faces and names. So, like, when I see people
Wow.
out, I have to introduce myself to them 4 or 5 times. I'm like, I promise I'm not being funny acting. I really don't remember
Uh-huh.
where I know you from."
Oh
So,
my
I think I'm
goodness. That's
misunderstood in
really
that way. Yeah,
that's
and then
that's
I meet
that's real.
so many people. I meet so many new
I
people.
can't e
And it's like my
I
brain does
can't
not
even
have the capacity to remember all these folks.
totally understood. Yeah, hopefully people start giving you more grace then after this.
Yes,
If you
please.
could speak if you could speak to a younger version of yourself, what advice would you give her at this point in your career and your maturity?
Girl, you know you gay.
Um,
I would tell my younger self, like, it's okay. Like, it's okay. You can be comfortable with yourself. Like,
yes.
yeah, come out earlier. But, I wouldn't change my
And
journey for anything.
listen. And the funny thing about it, even though you started off with like, girl, you know you gay, like a very short statement, it's like so much good comes after that once you
Yeah.
present fully as your authentic self that it's just like,
Mhm.
yeah, you don't want to rush it, but it's like on the other side, like there are
Mhm.
no words to describe how magical the journey gets once you
Yeah.
come forward in light. So
Yeah.
I love that you said that. So I want to kind of wrap it up some rapid fire STL questions. So just
Uh,
answer whatever you think comes to mind, okay?
okay.
Who do you think is the most underrated STL artist right now?
Jordan Ward.
You think he's underrated?
Yeah. I would say like here, some folks still don't know about him. And it's so wild that people
Really?
in St. Louis don't know about like St. Louis. It took people a long
Yeah.
time to learn who Smino was. And it's like Smino is from here. Like, how do y'all not know his music?
Wow, I didn't see, I definitely didn't think you would say that because 'cause I'm thinking, like, to me, I'm like, he's such a big deal. Like, I'm like, of course the whole city is on him,
Everywhere
but,
else, right?
okay.
Sexy Red didn't even pop
Yeah,
for real until she was gone.
that is an interesting
Yeah.
perspective. Um,
Yeah.
you feel like St. Louis artists get more love outside of St. Louis?
Yeah, but I think that's true for most cities. Like
A
the
lot of
local artists
a
don't
lot of
get
cities,
love until they're yeah, till they're like
they pop. Yeah.
national artists. Yeah.
Mm. Okay, let me move forward because now we turning this into a whole thing. What do you think is the best venue to perform at in the city?
The pageant.
I love the pageant personally, so
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
tracks. What one STO artist you love to collaborate with who you haven't yet?
Jordan Ward. No, we've made a
Mm,
song together. Oh no, let me think.
really?
Uh we didn't release it, but we've been in the studio together.
That's
um
dope as hell. Oh,
yeah, we performed at A3C in 2019. I opened for him and some other St. Louis. It was like a St. Louis stage at A3C in Atlanta, and we all
mhm,
went to the studio
mhm.
afterward. So like a bunch of St. Louis people
Wow.
in the studio till like 3 in the morning. Um,
Oh, that's fire. Well, okay, yeah, so not
yeah.
him, but who else then?
Metro Boomin. Metro Boomin.
Mm, that's major.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just
Yeah.
speak that into existence. It's gonna happen
You're
one day
right.
and we'll circle back and talk about
Yeah.
if you had to describe St. If you had to describe St. Louis in 3 words, which words would you choose?
Mm. Creative. Um,
Mm,
resilient
mhm.
and eccentric.
That's real. I like that. And then one word to describe this season of your life.
Mm. This season of my life. Expansive.
I like that. Well, again, I totally appreciate your patience at the beginning of this, but I really appreciated this conversation. But what I appreciate more than this conversation is I really appreciate the way you're representing our hometown intentionally. So much integrity you have, like so much artistic range, and I think people need to see that and they need to hear that so they can understand more about how expansive and how much range the Midwest, not just St.
Mm.
Louis, has. Because I think
Right. Yeah,
people underestimate us. And
I
more
do.
people like you coming to the stage is just giving the city more of a platform, and we need that. That representation is very important. So you are going to have my support going forward, and I really do hope that we can meet in person. I would have loved to do
Mm.
this in St. Louis, obviously. Maybe our second one can actually be in the hometown when I come home,
Yeah.
and then we can also come to one of your events.
Yes, please. Come to the one in June. Like, if you're gonna be in St. Louis during Pride Month, the Strawberry Bounce in June, I'm trying to make it a very special one.
What date is it?
I think it's the Friday of Pride weekend in St. Louis, so it's the last weekend. I think it's the 26th,
The
but I
last
might
one.
be wrong. Yes,
Yeah,
the
I'll
last the
I'll look it
last
up.
Friday
I might
in June.
okay, that's good to know. No, Imma definitely keep that in mind, Imma look that up. I gotta come see my mom anyway, so it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, we might make that happen. We
Okay.
might make that happen, so thank you so much again, and we're definitely gonna stay in contact, and yes, keep representing the city in all the ways that you do because it's so needed.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Thank you for
No
having
problem.
me.
Of course, no problem, okay? I'll talk to you soon, okay?
All right. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Urban Music Enthusiast podcast. Every interview you hear also drops on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, share, and keep the conversation alive. This platform is about more than entertainment. It's about celebrating creativity, impact, and the culture that connects us all. Until next time, I'm B. Sims, and this has been another episode of the Urban Music Enthusiast Podcast, where urban stories find their voice, and we celebrate music, film, and the artists driving the culture. Make sure to stay tapped in.